I'm good. I charged my tablet for a while. So.
Hey, sir, how are you? Are you doing good? Down at your. Okay. He may have. Well, usually it goes through patrol captain for that, so I'll check on that for you.
I didn't know if you were here or give you.
I was like, she's like, well, what about the other ones over here? And somebody might have been paying her.
Yeah, I'm trying to think
Over there, no, right on the
I had
corner.
one in Nova. Another place. He thought, man, I moved this right. I moved this spring. He lived in Nova for a long time.
We live down in the cul-de-sac. You were on the corner of it. So, I don't remember which one.
Norwood?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
We were on
right there
Norwood and
next to Harry Snare.
Snail was was he really?
It was like a lot of people.
I haven't heard from him. Is he doing okay?
I don't know. I think I saw a Facebook picture of home email 6 months ago. And that's probably like
Just kind of lost contact once we moved out of there.
could have been December.
We moved out of there.
Thank you for your patience, everyone. We were getting a little bit late started here. We had a meeting just prior to this. I'd like to call to order this evening's City Council Legislative Work Session for Thursday, August 15th, 2024. I'm old enough to have to look at the year every now and then to remind myself. Mayor Pro Tem Terry Miller, and we will start this evening with our invocation by the City of Douglasville's own Emily Hardaway.
All right, let us pray. Lord, we humbly come before you today and thank you for this day that you have given us. Thank you for the opportunities that you have afforded us here in the community. We ask that you be with our city council as they meet this evening and discuss business, and that you will grant them wisdom to make decisions and lead our city. Thank you for all that you have given us. In Jesus' name, amen.
And our Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Elena Hudson. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. That went well. Thank you, everyone, for coming tonight. This is a work session of the Douglasville City Council where agenda items will be presented for discussion and no official action will be taken tonight. Official action will be taken on items discussed on Monday, which would be August 18th, I think is the date. If the business you are here for tonight is not listed as an agenda item, there will be ample time under the agenda item comments from citizens and delegates section to discuss your business. There are a few protocol items I need to make you aware of before we start the meeting and ask you to listen so that there's no misunderstanding about how tonight's meeting will be conducted. Please keep your comments and presentations on a professional level if you're going to be speaking to the City Council, dealing with the facts that are important to this governing body to make their decision. We will not accept comments that are considered by the chair to be a personal attack on any individual or group of individuals. You will receive a warning from the chair if you deviate from this requirement. A second deviation will result in a request for you to leave the chambers and premises for the evening. Only one person will be talking at a time. Please do not applaud or react to speakers or speak from the audience. I'll repeat that again later if I have to. Cheer or carry on a conversation with others in the audience or disrupt the order of this meeting in any way. Remind you that we are only required to accept public comment during required public hearings. We are not required to accept public comment on other items before this council. We accept public comments on all items because we feel it enables us to make better decisions, but we will maintain order. And as the chair of this meeting, at any time during the meeting, we will stop the public comment on any agenda item if it is for the general good of the meeting and that no one will benefit from the actions being taken by the member or members of the audience. If you have a cell phone or other electronic device, please power it down or put it in silent mode. The agenda items will be handled as follows. The committee chairperson will read the agenda item, then the person representing the agenda item or the applicant will make his or her presentation first, and that will be the only opportunity for you to present information. Please do not come back to the microphone for a second chance. The members of council will ask questions of the applicant or seek additional information during that process. After that, the committee chair will ask for comments or statements from the audience. This is a maximum of 20 minutes for those who speak. This is for individual hearings during the committee. This is not for the millage item. I don't believe we can limit that to 20 minutes for the millage, my understanding. Yeah, okay. And while we'll have 20 minutes is for those in favor and those in opposition for each agenda item. Applicant's presentation is limited during this time to 5. Each individual presenter is limited to 5 minutes. please fill in, if you're intending to speak, there's cards on the city manager's desk to my right, to your left. Please fill that out with your name and address. Make sure that the city clerk gets that either before or after you speak. When you're at the podium, please state your name and address for the record. Unless you're under 17, you don't have to give your address. Each person has one opportunity to comment on each agenda item. No reappearances, even if you forgot what you wanted to say. This is not a question and answer format. This meeting is not a debate format, a format that gives you the opportunity to make a public comment for each respective agenda item. Please address your comments to the chair, not to members of the audience, to the applicant, or to city staff. If your information is repetitive of information presented earlier in the meeting or any other meetings for this matter, there's no need to present the same information again. Policy requires that printed information be submitted in advance to the city clerk's office so that can be included in each council member's work packet. So please do not pass out or distribute printed information at this meeting. If you do have something, please again, hand it to the city clerk. I think that is all we have for the announcements and presentations. So we will move on to the committees at this time. And our first committee is the Economic Development Committee, and I will ask that the Vice Chair, Councilwoman Nicole Miller, take that, if she may.
No business this evening.
Thank you, Councilwoman Miller. Our next committee is the Finance Committee, and that is Chairman Chris Watts.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We have 3 items under finance tonight. I'm going to read a statement. You may hear a couple things you just heard, but this is particular to this particular public hearing. And it is my understanding that there are comments for and against 20 minutes each, correct?
I think that we're
Is that-
allowing.
Or are we allowing more?
We're allowing
No,
more.
I don't necessarily think that you have to do for and against for your millage rate public hearing. You can just have comments.
Gotcha.
If you want to cut a maximum time off, since we have a long agenda, you're welcome to do that. But
Okay.
each applicant having just 5 minutes to, or I should say citizen having 5 minutes to state whatever they want to state.
Okay. Tonight's public hearing is to discuss a proposed millage rate increase for the city of Douglasville. Each citizen will be allowed 5 minutes, as already been stated, to make public comments following the opening of the public hearing. We ask that you fill out a comment card, either before you speak or after you speak. The clerk's over here to my right. Your left is where those cards can be gotten. And this is not a question and answer public hearing, as was pointed out already, but we will attempt to address questions as they come up if time permits. All questions, however, will be answered by the city staff either during this meeting or following this meeting. We request there be no applause tonight. We've already heard that. Outbursts or personal attacks. Tonight's city council meeting not only includes this public hearing, but we also have a lot of other items on the agenda tonight, including zoning matters. I am requesting your patience in advance as we hear all comments and opinions tonight. Thank you in advance for allowing us to serve you on behalf of the city of Douglasville. So with that all being said, I will call to order this public hearing. And at this time, if you have any comments, you can come forward to this microphone. Make sure you state your name and address for the record. And also, if you haven't already filled out a card, get one from one of these ladies over here to my right. So anybody, and if a couple people come down at the same time, oh, you know what? Goodness gracious. I did this earlier this morning and did it right, and tonight I did it wrong. We've got a presentation before we have our public hearing. That would be good so that y'all get a lot of information. I was so fired up to get to the public hearing, I apologize. Anyway, we'll do the public hearing here in just a second, so hold that thought. Miss Karen Callan, our finance director, will present.
All right, good evening. My name is Karen Callan. I'm the Chief Financial Officer and Assistant City Manager for the City of Douglasville. And we have a quick presentation to give you just a brief overview of our millage rate and our proposed increase. Be nice if I turned it on. All right, so for 2024, we are proposing the millage rate go from 7.711 to 8.749. That is a 1 mil increase over the prior year. We are also talking about 1.25 over the rollback rate. And that is, rollback rate is a requirement that we have to advertise due to the Georgia state statute. As an estimate of what this means to you, and you also probably have seen this advertised, is that if you have a $350,000 house, 7.499, the rollback rate, your annual tax would be a little over $1,000. And our proposed is 8.749, which would be $1,200, and increase of about $175 a year. And so that equates to about $1,459 a month. If you look at your tax bill, and we had this situation earlier at our 10 o'clock a.m. public hearing, there was some confusion on the taxing authority. We are the city of Douglasville. When you look at your tax bills, you'll see 3 taxing authorities. You'll see the school board, which represents the 49% piece of your total taxes. 32% is the county, and then the city is 20%. So we are the city of Douglasville. So just pay, we are the smaller portion on your tax bill. The driver behind this increase is the shared services that we have with Douglas County, and that is fire services and animal control. It went from 1.6 million in 2024 to 4.5 million. Animal control went from 250,000 to 400,000. We negotiated that with the county. It took us a little bit over a year to negotiate that. Inflationary costs are affecting everyone. We looked at starting our own fire department, but it is much more cost-effective and efficient for you all if we do have shared services. Another driver on the increase is the Jesse Davis Park. The referendum was passed by 67%. The operations to operate this park, it was a $25 million project, but you will be getting 2-story gym, indoor walking track, community center, a new senior center, multi-use trails, new pavilion area, upgraded playgrounds, and synthetic turf for the football field. So those to operate that is going to be a little costly. Our bond millage rate went from 1.3 to 1.35, so that's a slight increase. And this is our second public hearing. We have one more public hearing as required by the state statute, August 29th at 5 p.m. And then following that, we will have a special call meeting to adopt the millage rate. And now we can have public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. So at this time, you can make your way down towards the microphone, anyone that would like to make comments on this item. As we have, come on down.
Good evening. I'm Amy McCoy, resident of 9938 Ashton Old Road. I've got other things I'll address, and I hope that there's open comments as different things come up being presented tonight. But in terms of the millage rate, again, as a working professional in real estate, I highly suggest you do not raise these taxes, not at this time. I get it for shared services. What I'm asking is that the city start to work a little bit more closely with the county as well as the school, because everybody's raising taxes, but what y'all don't understand is we're the highest in our area, on the west side of Atlanta. Not to mention, as someone who lives in the tributary, as I've came here and reported before, for me to pay the city taxes as they constantly go up, I don't necessarily understand or really see the value in being in the city, because other than having the police, who does not really, in my opinion, enforce the laws that's over there. So right now, I'm just paying extra money, but don't really understand where it's actually allocating to properly. I'm in a 2-bedroom house, less than 1/10 of an acre, already at $5,000. I can't even resell my house. I've already had other people who've tried to sell their house, whose tax bill in 1 year has raised over $3,000, and people see that and they're like, I can go live in Cobb County, or I can go live outside of the city of Douglasville. So, you know, we need to talk about what's being fair, and it's not really equitable, and that when you start raising taxes like that, then it brings into fair housing questions. And so that we don't happen to have those instances that are happening in other cities surrounding us, I'd like to see that Douglasville do better and really hold back on those taxes. I think we're in this competition phase, who can outdo who, with the city, the county, and then the school board. But knowing that on Monday, the school board is also going up on taxes, so it's just a lot. And I'm telling you, as someone who's been doing this more than 20 years, you are killing these homeowners. It is hard to maintain, and you're going to see an influx of foreclosures happening faster than you would expect. We don't want to go back to the financial recession where we were 4th in the nation on bankruptcies and 2nd in the state on foreclosures. I am telling you, heed this warning. These tax increases are killing owners. Just saying. Thank you.
Thank you. No, one of the things that was already specified is we won't be clapping tonight. Even if someone comes down and really delivers a good statement, we're still going to hold down on the applause. And as you come forward, make sure you get your card from over here, fill it out before or after, your name and address for the record. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, my name is Ganelle Hume. I live at 5062 Sapphire Court in Douglasville. I can't state facts such as the lady just before me, but I do agree with everything that she said. I'm a single mother. My daughter's getting ready to go to vet school. And I'm already considering, even prior to hearing about this increase, about moving out of Douglasville, out of Georgia, basically, because of property taxes. It's hard. It's difficult for hardworking people to maintain a home and, you know, continue to keep up with property taxes when, I mean, if you increase these taxes now, you have houses built on every corner, townhomes, all that is already raising property taxes. Give us a break. I'm begging you. We don't need this increase right now. I understand everything has to go up, but it doesn't have to go up all at once so much. Thank you.
Ma'am, thank you. Anyone else come forward at this time?
Hello, my name is Jeanette Anderson. I live at 2109 Osprey Cove, Villa Rica, Georgia. I live in Mirror Lakes, so I am in Douglas County. We are in a senior community, so therefore, we are paying school taxes. If you're under the age of 65, we pay school taxes. I have lived in Villa Rica under Douglas County for 3 years. My taxes have gone up about $500. And so what my question is, and what I see that there's a lot of they're building up Douglasville, but for us to have to bear the burden of it, there has to be other ways that you guys can kind of figure out how to let us as owners, property owners, be able to stay in our homes. As a senior, I'm afraid because my mortgage at this point, and I have a low interest rate, my mortgage is high. When I first moved into my home, it was $1,400. The taxes that have gone up and raised it with the city tax, I pay taxes in Villa Rica, and I also pay taxes in Douglasville. Then we have an HOA that we pay. Then we have another HOA that we pay. And so, like the other young lady said, at some point, we're not going to be able to afford it. And living in Georgia now, a lot of people that live here are just not from Georgia. So you're bringing in a lot of people from large cities that really don't care about the country living here. And so by you raising our taxes, it's putting a chokehold on us. So when you do decide and you think about some of the things that you're going to do, that you really think about the seniors as well as all of the residents, and just be able to be mindful that we want to be able to eat and pay for things and get our medication as well. So I just thank you for the time and the opportunity.
Thank you. I'm not going to put out any more invitations. Just if you see an open mic, y'all come on down.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Blunt. My address is 5486 Bent Grass Way in Douglasville. And I felt compelled to speak after the young lady that spoke before me. I'm one of those transplants. My family and I moved to Douglasville in June of 2022, so we moved in our home in December of 2022. But anyway, about 2 years we've been here. And we did move from Maryland. I'm a career, was a federal career employee. I worked for the federal government back in the Washington, D.C. area. And we moved here in the pursuit of a quieter life away from the rat race of what is metropolitan Washington, D.C. In the less than 2 years that we have owned our home, our mortgage has gone up $800. That's not acceptable. It's not sustainable. We have one son in college, another one who is a senior in high school and is about to go to college. I'll say that I came here actually with the thought that I would want to become involved with civic affairs and see the potential of Douglasville. But for the taxes that we're paying, what I see going up in the area are dollar stores, car washes, banks, and credit unions. Where's the value of what we're paying and where's the money going that's benefiting us for the additional assessments that we're bearing the responsibility for? So yeah, that was a big shock to the pocket. $800 in less than 2 years. That's a lot. That's a lot.
Thank you for your comments. Mic's open.
Excuse me, I'm Danny Ballou. I lived here in Douglasville many years. And this is not going to be popular, what I'm going to say. But we're looking at a 50% tax increase, as I understand it from the paper. Every time we go to the store or the gas station or wherever we go, I'd like to be able to go in and protest and say, no, we don't want to pay more. But we don't have that opportunity. We understand that the city has to live under the circumstances that we've got. There is high inflation. If you're going to keep your employees, you have to pay them enough to live under what the inflation rate is. You have to buy goods and services the way we do. So I'm saying that as much as I hate to spend the money, I support this tax increase.
Thank you for your comments. Mic is open. Since I don't see anybody else, see a few people looking around, looking at each other. If you want to come forward, come forward. Oh, we got one filling out a card. Oh, okay. All right. Well, we do have another public hearing, as was stated earlier. If there are no other comments on this item, oh, okay.
I'm back. I know y'all know me well enough at this point. Listen, so Keena Phillips, 1045 Augusta Woods. This is my first home in Douglas County. I initially came here because of the community, the sense of closeness that you guys have. I can see one of my beautiful elected officials in Walmart walk up to you and say hello. I feel that confident. However, I feel like with this assessment, me starting the wealth of my family, you guys are snatching a rug from right up under me. I don't like it. I'm gonna repeat, I do not like it. I'm opposed to this. In my humble opinion, I understand that we have shared services and these services are important, but I do have a question, friend. I do have a question. If we oppose this, because this hasn't been effective as of yet, I guess this is where we are having discussions and then later there becomes a vote from my understanding. Question number one, when is the official vote? Is it gonna be on this November's ballot so that we can put our words into action? Question number two, I'm limited to two because of what you said
Yes,
earlier.
ma'am. Go ahead.
Question number two is, if we say no to this, where are you guys gonna pull the money from? Because it has to come from somewhere. So if we say no, we need this assessment, shared services, because it is important to have EMS and ambulance and all the things. Where are you guys gonna pull the money from? I yield the floor.
Ms. Hampton or Ms. Callen, do either one of you want to take a whack at either one of those?
You want to go ahead, Ms. Callen?
Well, I'll just say that the vote is August 29th for the millage rate adoption. And what we were talking about earlier is one thing I did want to mention before we close out the public hearing is that House Resolution is on the November ballot, House Resolution 1022. And that is, if that passes, then the next November, House Bill 581 will be on the ballot, and that will provide property tax relief for citizens in Georgia. That will enable us to add another 1% on our sales tax. Sales tax will go up to 9%, and then we would be able to roll back our millage rate on that sales tax equivalent. So the state understands that the situation that we're in with inflationary costs.
Yeah, to expound on what Ms. Callen has mentioned, the state of Georgia hears through the state legislature all the concerns that Georgia residents are stating as it relates to their property taxes. So the state, this past General Assembly, passed a amendment to the state constitution that would allow a ballot to go on November's ballot to cap property taxes. Now, it's to explain, to go along with the question, if expenses are here and you cap the availability of revenue here, the money has to come from somewhere, particularly as it relates to inflationary cost to provide services, and that includes wages. A meal equivalent is $2.2 million for the city of Douglasville. Ms. Callen mentioned that we're looking at $1.25 million to increase to provide for fire services. We were paying, as of this year, $1.6 million for fire services. Fire services and animal control will go up to $4.5 million starting in January of 2025 with a 3% cost escalator for the next 10 years. That is to provide that service. That 2 mil helps to augment that, helps to adjust for that cost that we're having to pay in the increase. The budget is absorbing the remainder. If the council decided not to approve the millage rate increase, we're going to have to look at the budget to figure out where we're going to come up with not only the $2.2 million, but that 3% each additional year afterwards. That is, in order to do that, we have to cut services. And that also could potentially include labor cost. So there is, there was a question earlier at the 10 o'clock meeting, can you look at things such as paper, pens? The cost of paving a road back in 2016, Douglas Boulevard was right at about $1.2 million. The cost to pave, and that's from Chapel Hill Road to Highway 5, that road today would be doubled. So some of those projects that you see that are coming would be slowed. I mean, that's just the answer to it. If the elected officials don't want to, because you all need fire services and animal control. So we're going to have to pull back on some of the other things. Again, and that could include labor. That's where we would get the money. It's no different than, anyone's household.
Thank you, Ms. Hampton. Do we have, before I close the public hearing, is there anybody else that would like to come forward?
My name is Nathan Britt, resident Douglas, 8854 Camelton Street. I lived here several years now. I'm a county employee for Douglas County Fire Department. I just want to thank this board and thank all the members here for your frugalness for the city of Douglasville. When we see news articles, it's not about the city. It's about other municipalities around that, needs to be looked at. And as far as the employees of Douglas County Fire Department, we need any additional funding so we can afford to live, because our firefighters are struggling on a day-to-day basis to be able to afford to live and work and get by in this times now. So whatever we can do to assist the fellow people I work with, I greatly appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Is there anyone else that has comments on this item?
My name is Kelvin Harris, 6637 Copper Court, Douglasville, 30314. I really wish we can find a way to start doing our research and trying to find better ways to make the city of Douglasville work, besides raising taxes all the time. It was said early in the meeting about we don't have the population to bring big companies here. Well, let me say this. We don't have the population to bring big companies here, but if you go on Highway 5, you got 2 Quick Trips, 2 Racetrack, them big companies. Waffle House. Everywhere you go, you got a Waffle House. They are a big company. Family Dollars. I'm so tired of seeing Family Dollars, I'm going to puke. Dollar General. Now, I stay in Avalon. I came to this city council, and I've been fighting about all these stories that we are putting around. But remember, you said earlier, we don't have the population. So if we don't have the population, why we got 3 stories going to be built in one subdivision? Explain that to me. Y'all got to do better. You got to do better. If you take the number and the amount of money that the citizens have paid out in lawsuits from the city of Douglasville, you'll fall down. But you want to sit here and tell us your hands are tied. I'm tired of hearing this same old song, your hands are tied. Either you're going to fight for us or give your seat up. Because I need somebody who's going to fight for me. Because my money and my wallet is getting empty. And I don't see no benefits on the north side of town. None. What happened to the splosh money? I heard somebody mention $25 million for Jesse Davis Park. I ain't heard nobody talk about the splosh money that was supposed to be done for the other park. But you're talking about a $25 million that's for Jesse Davis Park. I don't hear nothing about the tennis court. Nothing was mentioned about the tennis court and the pickleball court. 6 months ago, we passed some for pre-arrangement to keep the grass or whatever, that pickleball court, $100 and some thousand. But you didn't mention that. I got a great suggestion. All city trips, they go for the mayor, they go for the city council member, and all. Y'all trips should stop immediately. Y'all shouldn't go on no trips. What you should do is get in a van, ride around the city of Douglasville, and look at this traffic from Highway 5, Chapel Hill during rush hour. And at night, we need lighting. Our teenagers gonna be where there's no lighting. The police department and the fire department, Whatever it takes to be safe, I'm for it. But the lighting in Douglasville is horrible. Downtown lit up like a Christmas tree. But everywhere else, it's dark. We got to give the police some help. Put lighting in here. Y'all got to do a better job in this instead of always saying what you can't do. How about trying? Don't nothing be the failure but a try. And quit giving up all the time. Y'all give up too much for me.
Excuse me. Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to come forward?
Hello, my name is Shanika Rab. I live at 6427 Catherine Street. I'm actually not a homeowner in the county. I'm actually a renter. The thing is, you don't have to be a property owner to be involved in the change in the community. Property taxes affect us all, and with the constant increases, of course, the landlords are going up on the rent. As a renter, I can no longer afford it. I came from a different state, like someone else said. As everyone went in front of me, I opposed the increase of the tax rate. Like, as a renter, I'm not even a homeowner. We can no longer afford it, so which leave us with the decision to leave Douglas County or leave Georgia in total. Thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Shayla Davis Creel, 5481 Summer Mill Road, Douglasville. I understand the firefighters' comment that everything needs to, they need to live too. But we need to live. We're working day to day, and if our millage rate keeps going up, it makes it harder for us. Just like others have said about the medicines, the food, everything is going up, the gas, everything is going up. But we have to think about everybody across the board. We can't just think only on one end of this. It has to be some type of balance or somewhere meeting in the middle. So we have to figure out a better way to get through this process instead of just always ready to raise the millage rate. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? We'll close this public hearing for tonight. Remember, we have another one on the 29th. And I'd like to thank everybody that came down and spoke tonight. We do have a couple other finance items on the agenda. Item B, adopt a resolution to provide.
Do you want to let anybody on council speak regarding this or not? That's up to you.
Council, you have any comments on this item?
I will say one, go ahead, Councilwoman Miller, you're, okay. I would like to try to give a little bit of an explanation in addition to what you've heard tonight. And everything, all the comments that everybody has said is absolutely fair and just. And we appreciate the input that you've given us. I do want to make a comment, though, to try to help folks understand what happened as far as why the service agreement with the county went up as high as it did. This is a requirement that we have every 10 years that we have to, when we're going to renew the lost agreement, the local option sales tax, and we have to come to an agreement with the county as to how that revenue is split between the city and the county. The challenge that we have as a city is that we do not have an option out of that when the negotiations begin. The county can come to the table and basically, if we can't come to an agreement, the tax goes away, but the county can then go ahead and impose its own tax. City does not have that ability statutorily. We cannot. We cannot walk away from the table and say, okay, we'll create our own municipal tax to replace that. It's kind of like if you were playing cards with somebody and they can see your cards, but you can't see theirs. We're at a tremendous disadvantage when we go into those disagreements. So that's why one of the biggest reasons that you see that the tax, or that the city's portion of that tax went up as it did. The comment was made earlier about, I think, young woman actually made a good point about renters. Renters pay the tax as well. They just don't, it comes out of their rent. They just don't pay it directly to the city or to the county or to the school board. We've had a lot of discussion in recent times regarding the types of development that we have in the city. I understand that folks don't like to see as many dollar stores or as many car washes as that we have. We can't tell somebody that they can't build on their property the way they want to build it if it's allowable by zoning. If a property is already zoned to allow commercial development, we can't tell them you can't have a dollar store in there. We live in a society with property rights. And if it's your property and it's zoned correctly, you can do what you want with that property within the reason of the building code. So we all have to kind of understand that. And keep in, and maybe just, I know this doesn't help to say this, but, you know, all of us on this city council, we pay the same taxes that you do. And as far as I know, nobody here is rich. I don't think any of these folks here are rich. So we're all hit just as bad as you do. And so I know that doesn't make it any better, but, you know, as far as I can tell, as far as I can say, though, is that, you know, we understand what you're going through. Mr. Chair, that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem. Go ahead, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I wanted to thank you guys all for coming out this evening and taking time out of your evening. Some of you for taking time out of your morning and your evening to come. This is actually, I believe, the largest speaking engaged group that we've had in the entire time that I've been on council. And to piggyback off of what Mayor Pro Tem just said, we are all also city residents, paying those same city taxes and those same county taxes, living through the same issues that some of you are. I told the group this morning, you know, we've been planning for years now for my baby to go off to college, and now that it's happening, it looks a little bit different than we originally started planning because of inflation. We've had to make some tough choices as a family, but it's something that we're going to keep working through. And I just want to, I know it doesn't make it any better, but I just wanted to, I guess, share with you guys that we are going through the same things that you are. And I would like to invite you all to come back next year when we're working on our budget, because that's more of where the sausage is made, and that's where some of those decisions are made. And I think it would be very beneficial for you guys to understand that. But also, as our city manager told us this morning, the Citizens Academy is a wonderful opportunity for citizens to come together and learn about city government and all the inner workings of it. I would highly recommend that for any of you. Thank you.
Council, yes,
Hi.
Ms. Burdanley.
Thank you, Chairman
Burdanley.
Watts, Councilman Watts. Hi, I just wanted to make a comment and say, excuse me, I am Councilwoman Burdanley. I share Ward 3 with Councilman Davis. So not only do I hear what you're saying, I do feel your pain. My mother is 90. I'm not at the age right now to receive homestead. So yes, my taxes, property taxes, I pay more for property taxes than I do escrow. I pay more property taxes than I do my mortgage. So I just wanted to say thank you for your comments. In the ward where Councilman Davis and I serve, we are considered a food desert. So our residents have to go to another county, which is right up the street, but it's still another county where we have to pay for groceries. So we are looking for other options, and we have worked very diligently with our city staff in creating areas in our neighborhood so that we can have like a small neighborhood grocery store or things of that nature, and we haven't gotten there yet. I don't want to prolong most of the time, but I want to tell you that it is different. Things change when you have different changes in leadership, whether it be the mayor, the county commissioner, or when one of us go off or come back in, so people think differently. It took 40 years, 40 years, literally, for us to have, and I say us in Ward 3, to be able to cross the railroad track. There was no crossing. When the train came, we couldn't get across. So I say that to say, I feel your pain. That's all I want to say. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Berdanley. Any other comments, council? All right. We'll move on to the next item. Item B, to adopt a resolution to provide for inclusion of additional financial institutions as approved depositories for the City of Douglasville funds with the names of said institutions to be included in the resolution. And Mr. Byrd will cover this tonight.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. It's a pleasure to be here. Shane Byrd, 6695 Church Street. I'm here to present an item regarding just an update. It's more or less a housekeeping item in cleaning up our approved depositories, essentially our banks that we do business with. You'll notice in the list and the memo provided that some of the bank names are going to be familiar. They're just where the banks have either sold or gone under and changed, and now we're just getting our list updated to the most current banks that we do business with. So it's just a list that's needed cleaning up.
Thank you, Mr. Byrd. Any questions or comments on this particular item? Okay. If it's okay with council, I'd like to place this item on the consent agenda for Monday. All right, thank you, Mr. Byrd.
Excellent, thank you all.
Item C, authorize the mayor to sign a purchase and sale agreement with buyer Norhaven Partners LLC and to execute any documents related to the city's sale of 7.382 acres at Church Street and Club Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. And Ms. Hampton and Ms. Jordan will cover this.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, this is the purchase and sale agreement to sell the acreage next to the town green to a private developer in the amount of $4 million for the development of residential units next to the town green. Ms. Jordan can answer any question related to the sale.
You got any updates for us?
As we had previously discussed, the terms that were shared with the council for the purchase price that's going to be coming to the city, all of that was included. We had very amicable discussions regarding the contract with the purchaser, and we're looking forward to starting the process.
Any comments from council on this item? No. I'm wondering if this item would be appropriate for the consent agenda? No. We'll hold this one over until Monday when we vote. And Mr. Chairman, those are the only three items I had tonight under finance.
Thank you, Mr. Watts. And we were going to go on to a slightly different order of the agenda tonight. We're going to skip ahead to the Transportation Committee, and that is chaired by Councilwoman Dr. LaShawn Byrd-Danley.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Under Transportation tonight, we have one item, and the item reads as follows: authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for sub-grantee Douglas County's application for the Freight Cluster Plan Program federal grant. Ms. Mann?
Alicia Mann, Project Manager, 6695 Church Street. Douglas County is applying for a grant through the ARC that goes to the FHWA to create a comprehensive freight cluster plan. This plan is crucial for our community, and it will define truck routes to establish truck prohibitions to safeguard our residential areas from excessive freight traffic. Their approach is to involve coordination with all local jurisdictions and with the study area be adjacent to jurisdictions to ensure that cohesive long-range transportation planning effort that transcends all the boundaries. With some of the key areas that they are planning to put in this area being in the city limits, such as down along Riverside Parkway, as you all can see on the map, some other areas along 78, it'll be best to help strengthen their application with a letter of support from the Mayor and Council. Carla Pushedley is also here from the county, so if you have any extra questions that I cannot answer, she is here to speak to.
Thank you. Do we have any comments or questions from our Mayor Pro Tem or council members at this time? Yes. Councilman
Thank
Estes.
you,
You're
Madam
welcome.
Chair. I think this is fantastic. You know, representing the area that covers Riverside Parkway and Thornton Road, those are nightmares at a lot of times during the day. So I'm glad that we are at least helping the county look into that to try and figure out some potential solutions. So thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments? And I do agree with the freight, and it can be a nightmare on Thornton Road, but also when trucks go through our neighborhoods. So the county does synchronize our lights and things of that, so we do work with them. This is a good project. If there aren't any comments from our Mayor Pro Tem or City Council members, I'd like to put this on the consent agenda. Thank you, Ms. Mann. Thank you. No other items, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Ms. Danley. Going back to our original agenda, we will move on to next item, which is Committee is Housing and Community Affairs. That is chaired by Councilman Howard Estes.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. The Housing and Community Affairs Committee has no business this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Next committee is the Legislative Intergovernmental Committee, and I would ask the Vice Chair to take that. Is the Councilwoman Danley?
No items tonight under legislative and intergovernmental. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilwoman
You're
Danley.
welcome.
The next item is Personnel and Organization Committee, chaired by Councilman Howard Estes.
Thank you. We actually have an item this evening, which is item A, authorize the mayor to sign a memorandum of agreement with the University of Georgia Research Foundation, Inc., for employee training sessions to be presented by the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. And we have Ms. Allison Parker here to tell us about this.
Thank you, Mr. Estes. Allison Parker, 6695 Church Street, Douglasville, Georgia. Greetings to Mayor Pro Tem and Council. I'm here to ask for your request as we are looking to move forward with the memorandum of agreement with the Carl Vinson Institute of Government. They are the agency that provides our development and training opportunities for staff, helping to further our the offerings to staff through Douglasville University. And the amount has been approved in this year's fiscal year.
Thank you, Ms. Parker. Does anybody have any questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I would like to ask if there are no objections that we place this on the consent agenda. All right. Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. That is all we have for the Personnel and Organization Committee this evening.
Thank you, Councilman Estes. Our next committee, I would ask everybody to strap on their seatbelts. We have Planning and Development, chaired by Councilman.
Excuse me, Mayor Pro Tem. Can I go ahead and do public safety?
I'm sorry?
Can I go ahead and do public safety?
Would you like to jump in?
Yes, do you mind?
I'll withdraw my request, and we'll go to public safety.
Thank you. We have one item under public safety tonight, and it reads as follows. Authorize the mayor to sign an equitable sharing agreement and certification with the United States Department of Justice for sharing of forfeited assets. Captain Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem and Council. What you have in front of you is the Equitable Sharing Agreement certification that is due each year. Each year, our task force officers that are assigned to the DEA and FBI, we do have seizures and forfeitures that we take part in. This year, we had a forfeiture of $19,498.22 that was awarded back to the police department. That was on top of a starting amount of $440,260.83. Other income that came to the police department as a result of prior forfeitures were $10,155 that came from sales of vehicles through an auction of vehicles that were actually had been seized through our partnership with the federal agencies. With that total, we actually spent some of that total for training, per diem lodging related to that training in the amount of $8,193.71, which gave us a final total of $461,720.34. We had a net positive out of both the forfeiture assets and also the auctioned assets, a net positive of $21,459.51. There is a schedule on the bottom of page 1 that shows our expenditures. And again, we're very limited as to what the forfeitures can be spent on. So it has mainly to do with training and expenditures related to training. And then on page 2, that schedule also shows the amount of the auctioned vehicles, what was received from those proceeds. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Edwards. Do we have any questions or comments from Mayor Pro Tem or Council? Okay, this is routine. So I would like to ask our Mayor Pro Tem and Council if you would like to put this on the consent agenda. I'd like to do that, please. Okay, no objections. That's all we have under public safety, and thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Councilwoman.
You're welcome.
Berdanley. We're just going to get totally crazy tonight, and we're going to go next to the Technology Committee. We'll be charitable and get rid of the smaller agendas first. So, Councilwoman Hudson, if you'd like to take the Technology Committee at this time.
Absolutely. So we have one item under the Technology Committee this evening, and it's authorize the mayor to sign a statement of work with Civic Plus LLC for the license to use its Civic Clerk agenda and board management software application system. And Ms. Vicki Acker and Candace James are going to help us with this.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and council members. Vicki Acker, City Clerk, 669 Church Street, 6695 Church Street. I'm here to present a proposal regarding our agenda and board management software. As you know, we've been using iCompass for managing our agenda since 2019, but it's had some difficulties technology-wise. As tonight, you can see that the timer was not working. We could not get that to work. And we had to remove the board feature because it wasn't working for us as well. And after looking at other options like Granicus One Meeting and eScribe, we found that Civic Clerk is going to be the best fit for us. It's easier to use, and it offers integration with our Municode. So we'll be able to submit our code changes directly up to Municode. Given all the advantages of Civic Clerk over our current system, I recommend that we move to transitioning to Civic Clerk, transition to that new software. Do you have any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Acker. I appreciate that information. So what we've been using is simply not as effective and up to date as it could be. And have we talked to any other municipalities that are using this new system, or we have good reviews?
Yes, ma'am. City of Villa Rica and also Douglas County uses Civic Clerk, and they both are very pleased with it, and they have nothing but good things to say about it. As a matter of fact, the county has used it for many years.
Okay, excellent. And then you did mention that we've vetted other companies as well, and
Yes.
through comparison, this was the best choice.
Yes, not only did the clerk's office, but we also pulled in IT department and the community communications department. They vetted those other two companies with us.
Excellent, thank you for that. Council, did you have any specific questions related to this item? Okay, well, if it's all right with Mayor Pro Tem and Council, I'm okay to place this on the consent agenda for Monday. All right, thank you, and that's all I have for the Technology Committee.
Thank you, Councilwoman Hudson. Appreciate that. Now it's time to strap on your seatbelts as we go back to the Planning and Development Committee, chaired by Councilwoman Nicole Miller, the smarter Miller of the City Council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. We do have a few items this evening. The first item is item number 24-235. That is to consider a request for exemption plat approval for the purpose of splitting 1.44 acres at 8573 Estelle Street in Land Lot 21, District 1, Section 5, Parcel ID C113. Application by HRC Engineers, and our very own Mr. James Gordon is going to go over this with us.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem and Council. James Gordon, 6695 Church Street. This application is brought about by a neighbor who owns a larger piece of property next to his property. He has 1.5 acres next door, and he wishes to divide it into 1 acre and a half an acre lots. And I will answer
you
any
for that.
questions you may have.
Okay, thank you for that. And I know we went over the plat earlier. You showed me where they've worked out all of the WSA issues.
Correct.
and
This,
now-
this property was originally on septic, and due to WSA issues, they were not able to have septic, so they had to go to sewer, and now they have legal sewer lines running behind the properties into the sewer main.
Beautiful. Okay. Council, do you guys have any questions regarding this item?
These 2 lots are empty, is that correct?
Correct.
There's no buildings on either?
Nothing built on either lot.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. If there's no more questions, would it be appropriate to place this on the consent agenda? Council, are you guys good with that? Perfect. Thank you. All right. Moving along. Nope, we got to update. There's that software Ms. Aker was talking about. Next item, 24-277, says to consider a request for final replat approval for the purpose of establishing the as-built locations of the townhome buildings for lots 49 through 56 of Laurelwood Phase 2 for 12.018 acres at 5059 Reservoir Drive in Land Lot 23, District 24. In Land Lot 23 and 24, District 1, Section 5. Application by FR Arbor Place LLC. Mr. Gordon is going to go over this item as well.
Good evening. This item is a continuation of previous revisions that you've seen before you. This is a 8-unit building. This is a single building, and we're simply showing the as-built location. So now it must go so that they can all go to closing with new residents.
Thank you. Council, did you have questions regarding this item? No? Mr. Gordon, do you know how far we are through that development at this point?
This is only about a third of it,
we
so there's
haven't seen
several
these for a
more
while.
buildings to go.
Okay, thank you. If there are no questions, can we put that on the consent? Yes?
Can we hold this until Monday? And there's some discussions ongoing regarding some landscaping issues
Yep.
on the site, so we can hold it to Monday to a vote.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm okay with that. Okay, thank you. We will take that
Thank
one
you.
up on Monday then. Thank you so much, Mr. Gordon. And our next item is item 24-193. This was tabled from June 17th, 2024. And that item was to consider a request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Residential Detached to R5 Single Family Cottage Residential for 33.26 acres located at the intersection of Campbellton Street and I-20 and Land Lot 22, District 1, Section 5, parcel IDs C014, C015, C016, C018, C076, C077, C088, C089. And Land Lot 23, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID 0024. Application by Trayton Homes, and Ms. Shayla Reed is down here to go over this with us.
Greetings. I'm Shayla Reed, Community Development Director. I'm here before you tonight to discuss the item before you. This particular item was once tabled, and it was to have an R2 to R5 rezoning. However, the applicant has asked to withdraw that request for a new application that you'll hear next.
Okay, thank you. So then we'll take no action tonight, and we can vote on the withdrawal Monday, or vote to remove it from the table to withdraw it. Okay, gotcha. Thank you. Okay. Next item, friends. Item number 24-269 says to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from R2 Single Family Residential Detached to R3 Single Family Residential Detached for 33.26 acres located at the intersection of Campbellton Street and I-20 in Land Lot 22, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID C014, C015, C016, C018, C076, C077, C088, C089, and Land Lot 23, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID 0024, application by Trayton Homes. Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over this one with us as well.
Yes, ma'am. As mentioned, this is a R2 to R3 rezoning. Originally, this application would have included 83 residents as well as an amenities area. They have now changed their application to be revised. Instead of the 83 units, they'll now have 58. This location is within Ward 2, and they're requesting to rezone from R2 to R3. That is within your medium density residential. And with that, your August 6th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of their request.
Okay. Thank you. Did the applicant want to come down? Mr. Fowler, thank you. If you'll just come give us your name and address for the record, please.
Evening, everyone. Joe Fowler, Post Office Box 49 in Douglasville. Let me introduce Lewis Pride, who is here with Trayton Homes. As noted, the application seeks the rezoning of this acreage at the intersection of Campbellton Street, Elizabeth Drive, and I-20. As noted, the application is Trayton. Back in June, the city actually itself initiated a revision to the existing R5 ordinance to remove the prohibition that garages had to be on alleyways, kind of like they have down in Tributary. Also on the agenda was not just that city's request to change the content of the R5 ordinance, but our request to be included in the R5 ordinance. The reason was because of early discussions on last winter. We learned from meeting with the city that this is in the medium-density residential area in your long-range land use plan. Well, both after the consideration of the ordinance change, our request for the R5 zoning came before the council first, June the 13th, and then the 17th. But both actions, that is, the city's rezoning of the change of the ordinance and our request to rezone, was tabled. It was later considered in July on the 11th and 15th. At the meeting on the 15th, you voted to make only slight revisions to the R5 ordinance, requiring that 60% of the homes in the R5 development had to have the garages that nonetheless fronted on the rear of the homes. This project could not go forward, and that's why we withdrew the first application about which you read a moment ago, Madam Chair. At that meeting, it was noted that the city had revised the comp plan that I mentioned a bit ago, and this 33-acre tract is included in the medium-density residential character area, which actually accommodates what we're asking for tonight, and that is the R3 zoning. That's what's before you. The plat that you reviewed in June has now been redrawn to provide, as Shayla mentioned, the 58 homes on the acres. And based on that development, Trayton has designed the plan that you see on the plan before you. I will note that this site plan is modified significantly that was presented earlier. The homes will have prices starting in the mid-400s and above, and that, of course, will depend on the finishes. Samples of the homes are on the slides that you've seen. The average size of the house, each house is 29, the average size of the houses is 2,900 square feet. Traffic issues have been mentioned all the way through this process. Concerns were raised about how cars would get in and out of the new subdivision on Elizabeth Drive. And so what occurred was we met with the DOT, talked at length with staff, and to address the traffic issues, you'll note on the site plan that at Elizabeth Drive coming out of this new subdivision, no left turns are permitted out of the subdivision going westbound into the existing subdivision. Plus, subject to DOT approval, 2 more lanes will be added to Elizabeth Drive for a total of 3. That is 3 exiting Elizabeth Drive. There'll be a dedicated left turn toward town, a dedicated straight toward the hospital, and a dedicated right toward I-20. In addition to that, there's a proposed dedicated right-out lane out of the subdivision between lots 12 and 13. That's a right-out that leaves the subdivision before you get to Elizabeth Drive. There will be a mandatory homeowners association with your typical covenants and restrictions. The covenants, there'll be a cap on the number of homes that may be rented within the subdivision. Sidewalks will be on both sides of the streets as normal. Street lights, of course, will be installed throughout. All utilities will be underground. All homes will be served by water and sewer. The project will comply with all the stormwater sedimentation control requirements. There are roughly 10 acres of open space in the subdivision, a portion of which will contain the stormwater pond. The staff has recommended approval, as did Planning and Zoning Board, and we seek your recommendation of approval as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Mr. Fowler? Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
You mentioned the additional lanes that you guys are looking at adding for traffic
Yes, ma'am.
mitigation right there on Elizabeth going out to Campbellton and Chapel Hill.
Yes, ma'am.
Were you able to find anything out, though, from the county as far as synchronizing those lights to allow more traffic out onto Campbellton and Chapel Hill?
I spoke with Bruce Mercer with the DOT about synchronization, the development of those lanes, and then Hughes Ray, who are representing us on this project, have done so as well. It's complicated about how all of that will be synchronized, but we understand that we'll do what the site plan calls for in this case, and that is those additional lanes to provide the 3-way movements, and we'll work with your staff and with the DOT, with the county about that.
Okay,
Yes,
do you
ma'am.
think that you could get something from DOT or county for us before Monday regarding the light synchronization?
I'll talk again with the DOT about that and just report back to Shayla what they say concerning that. I had met with him earlier, talked about all these issues, and what I got a little bit was, yes, we understand and we'll work with you on that.
Okay. And then.
I'm not sure exactly what Aaron McCullough may have learned when he talked with the DOT. Initially, there was a big question about alignment as you come out and go straight. And as it turns out, the left lane toward town works perfectly without interfering with going straight out of Elizabeth Drive to line up with the roadway that goes toward the hospital.
I know I've had several conversations with several of the residents.
Yes, ma'am.
And that has been an issue for them, trying to get out of Elizabeth onto Campbellton in Chapel Hill there when they're trying to go straight, because the light won't turn for them. I think they have to get in the other, or maybe it's when they're trying to go right, because the light doesn't turn unless they get in the go straight lane. And because of the traffic that's coming from across the street at Hospital Drive, so 2 lanes, so it's a wide turn. So they have issues already trying to get out of that neighborhood.
I can see
If
the
that makes
complexity
sense.
of that. I travel that like everybody else does.
Yep.
I'll
Okay.
follow up with Aaron and Bruce Mercer about that and talk to
Okay.
Shayla.
And then you mentioned the rental cap. Do you know what that will be?
We haven't talked about it. It was typically going to be 10%.
Okay. And then I think any other questions I probably have are for the developer. Council, do you guys have any questions for Mr. Fowler? Coach?
Just want to clarify, Mr. Fowler, I
Yes,
heard 400 and up
Yes, sir.
and 2,900 square feet
Yes, sir.
and up. Okay. I wasn't sure I had that right. I wanted to make sure I wrote it down right. Thank you, Mr. Fowler.
Yeah, it's significantly higher, of course, than what's the minimum in the R2 or R3 for that matter.
Okay. And then did the developer want to add anything to this before we have the public hearing?
I don't think there's anything else to add. I don't think he has anything else
Well,
to add.
I have a
does he?
question.
Okay.
You
bring
may,
it
you may be able to answer it though, Mr. Fowler, I'm not sure. I just wanted to be clear and that Triton Homes will be the actual builder
Yes,
for
ma'am.
these homes. So, okay.
Yes,
And then, we already asked that one. I know you said that you're looking at the average of 2,900 square foot per home. Do you have a ratio as to how many will be 2,900? Because I know on minimums, I think they can go down to 1,500 in the R3.
I spoke with the president about that issue earlier today, and he told me the average is 2,900. Some of them go 3,200 and above. Some will be slightly smaller. He said the average is 2,900.
Okay. And do you have any ideas on the materials that will be used and the percentages of those?
He told me, you would know more about this than I do. Modern, it would be a combination of modern farmhouse and craftsman style.
Okay. I appreciate that.
And you see some photos
Okay,
that we had
yes.
provided earlier.
We did. Okay. Council, Mayor Pro Tem, you look like you've got a question.
I always have a question. These are all going to be two-story, is that correct?
I believe so, yes, sir.
Represented? Okay.
Yes, sir, 2 stories.
Are civil engineers incapable these days of drawing straight lines or right angles?
Well, they probably went to Georgia Tech, and that may explain.
Well, I'm going to stay out of that
To
one.
them.
But good answer. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. All right. Council, if there are no more questions, this is a public hearing, so let's go ahead and open that public hearing. If we have anyone here this evening that would like to speak on this item, if you'll come down, give your name and address for the record, please.
This is only one of the public comments that I also want to address. So thank you for pointing out that it's just going to be 2-story homes. I want to encourage the city council to consider fair housing. We have a lot of people that are concerned, that are trying to age in place in our community, and they don't have very many options. For myself, I've had 4 spine procedures in 1 year. And so when you are looking at where can I live, I'm only 43, but imagine those that are in their 80s that might have challenges with climbing stairs and things like that. We really need to be conscious of what we're building so that people can actually age in place. You know, when we're looking at building 2,900 square feet, that's fantastic, but time is going to change. And obviously the way that these taxes are going, are they going to be able to remain in those houses down the road? So again, I would encourage that there be there's 2 parts to that, because I was concerned on the rentals that were coming in, and I thought there was a moratorium, but I guess that's a moratorium just from the county and not from the city on rentals coming into the community. But as we're concerned for homes that are being built in this community, there really should be a percentage that is allocated for ranches or even for those homes that do not have stairs. We really need to be conscious of all residents that are living here in Douglas County. It is a fair housing issue. So please encourage these builders as they come into this community that they need to allocate a certain percentage for those that cannot do stairs. Thank you.
Thank you for that.
I think one thing we can say is that I think the market is going to start to take care of that fairly soon. I can tell you from my experience in my perch in the design, on the design side, we're getting a lot more requests for 1-story houses. So I think you're going to see a lot more single-story houses being built very soon, so.
Yeah.
But that's a valid point. Aging in place is something that we all have to consider.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Thank you. We have to keep it on the record.
I appreciate it, because fair housing. We have those that can't hear as well. So, but as we look at ranches, when we consider if they're being built up, even that one step, keep that in mind. You know, when there are those 1-stories, because you do have people that are already wheelchair bound, and that additional cost on just doing a ramp to the front makes those changes.
A good designer, a good builder will understand that, you know, the
Mr.
whole point of
Architect.
building a 1-story house is to eliminate barriers like that. And
That's
so,
right.
And we don't call it, handicap, design anymore. It's called universal design, so that everyone can appreciate and utilize the design, so, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. McCoy.
I'm back.
I might learn your address by the end of the day.
Get familiar with me. I'm Keena, 1045, as you guys have known. I just heard the lovely developers over here say that they're interested in bringing 400K homes. 10% of that would be lease, I believe you said.
That's a cap, so no more than that.
Okay,
would be
so
rental.
these homes will be for sale at some point?
Yes.
Okay, so my next question is, after we just had our public hearing at 10 a.m. and at 6 before, all of this, what is that going to do for our community and our property taxes that we're going to be currently assessed for? Is our taxes going to go down? Are there going to be another tax assessment because they're coming into our community or considering coming into our community? Because after we just talked about how these things are not benefiting our community, I want to hear how is that going to benefit our community, especially financially.
I can't assure you that another development will directly make your life better, although it could open up a home site for one of your loved ones who wants to move to Douglas County.
That's not good enough for
But
me,
our tax
respectfully.
millage rate, hold on.
Okay.
Our tax millage rate, what that is calculating is what it costs per person
Mm-hmm.
for our police to be able to operate and take care of us, or for our fire department to be able to
Mm-hmm.
operate effectively and take care of us. If we have more people, that price does not go down. The price is going to stay the same. Unfortunately, that's just the nuts and bolts of how our millage rate and how our tax basis works. So as another development comes in, it's not going to decrease your taxes.
Okay, but is it going to increase anywhere else outside of just the taxes as far as our community is concerned? Because we're adding people, that means children are coming, schools are going to get bigger, which is part of our tax.
Right.
Schools need to be worked on and things like that. So what is going to be a part of the financial part of them adding to what we already have existing since they're going to come into our communities?
So that is all worked out in our budget as far as for the city and the services that we offer. Now, as far as the schools go, I believe that another resident has already spoke about the Board of Ed will be having their meeting coming up very soon. I don't want to speak to that because I've already forgotten when it is. But they will be having their millage rate and their tax meeting very soon. And they will be figuring out per how many people that we have living here, what percentage of those are children, where do we need more schools, which schools need the updates, but they will be handling that portion of that budget. That's a completely different budget.
Madam Chair, and just to remind everyone here, this is a zoning hearing, not a
Thank
development
you.
hearing, so.
Well, thank you. I hated to completely.
Thanks,
Yeah.
and happy birthday.
Thank you for coming for my birthday, I appreciate it.
All right. Well, if there are no more comments, we're going to go ahead and close. Oh, I'm sorry. Darn, I got ahead of myself, Mr. Wynn. If you'll please just.
Hopefully I can be better with my comments than that. Part of what she's saying.
Name
part
and
of-
address for the
My
record,
name is
please.
Frank
Thank you.
Wynn. I live at 8925 Orchard Drive, 30134 in Douglasville. Basically, part of the comments that were spoken last time related to quality of life. And we've been talking about the millage rate, we've been talking about a lot of other things today about expenses, but the quality of life overlaps those. These houses are going to be, they're going to be stuffed in there pretty close together. As I look at this plat, 58 houses on approximately 20 acres. The R2 has been there in place and is an appropriate recommendation, our zoning at this point. If you start putting more and more houses on that space, you're going to reduce the quality, you're going to have problems with cost going up. Whether it affects the millage rate directly or not, it is going to affect the cost of services in the county. I was thinking, well, what would be the cost of these houses, the increase or the taxes they pay? They're paying $90,000 in taxes of an increase if you apply that millage to these 50-something houses. Is the city providing only 90%, $90,000 of expenses and services for that area? I don't think so. I think the city's gonna be providing a lot more in services once you put them in there. I will say this is one of the best proposals that we've seen so far, but it can still be fine-tuned and stick with the R2 zoning. The traffic has not been addressed. Your rules say that they have to do a study if there's 90 units. Well, there's not 90 units, so you don't have to. But it should be done because of the problems. The turnout at Hospital Drive is a constant problem. I found out earlier today from Greg Roberts, and none of this has come up. If you did a traffic study, you'd know about it. Apparently, DOT is planning on putting a red light just past where they're turning out of the subdivision that Mr. Fowler talked about. It's not set in stone apparently, but they have a redesign of the entire loop coming off of I-20. They have a proposal of some sort for a traffic light right there. And then you have a subdivision of 58 units asking for you to rezone so that you can turn right into that red light that is going to be placed there. There's a reason that police officers sit at I-20 and Campbellton Road. They sit there because there's a traffic issue. They sit there because there are problems. There are no other places that I'm aware of that they routinely sit in one location on a regular basis. And it's because it's already a traffic problem. There needs to be something done to address a traffic study and how these houses are going to affect it. I can't say how the services are going to be affected, but I do know from living there that the traffic can't get better. I see that it says it's not going to reduce the value of the houses. I don't know how you can say that other than it's just a builder saying, well, it's not going to reduce it. I feel like my house and the people that are in that area that are on an acre or an acre and a half and we have an R2 zoning, I feel like that it is going to reduce the value of my house. And I don't see how it would not reduce it. In the proposal or in the question and answer area, they say that it's not going to affect the safety in traffic. You can't say that without a true traffic study that incorporates DOT's plans as well as what goes on right now. The simplest question that I still haven't heard anyone answer is, did someone talk to Gary Sparks or the police officers and just ask them the common sense question, what do you see in that area? And if it's enough of a problem, how much of an impact are 58 more houses going to be? I think they have the right to build on R2, and that's what it should stay unless you have a lot more information, especially in relation to traffic. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nguyen. Darn, I really got ahead of myself thinking we were going to close that public hearing. Mr. Blue, if you'll just give us your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Danny Blue, and I live on Elizabeth Drive, and I will be echoing a little bit of what Frank has said here. I'm here because I'm very concerned about what this project will do to the existing neighborhood there. It will totally change, I think, one of the most charming parts of Douglasville. I know it for sure it will affect our property values. I'm really disappointed that they have taken out the amenities package because that would have drawn a different clientele. It's going to make a lot of difference not having that. It's just cramming people into an area. And then I would say to you that the traffic problem that really hasn't been discussed is those people coming off the interstate who are going to turn into Elizabeth Drive, and they've got a turn arrow, presently lasts about 10 seconds. if you've got several people waiting to come onto Campbellton Street off Elizabeth Drive, and these people wanting to turn into their subdivision, and if you've got a stacking of, say, 5 cars there, and there's 7 cars waiting, you're gonna have people backing up into Campbellton Street. There's no way that it's not going to happen. So I encourage you to give some real serious thought to this, and maybe even go out there yourselves and stack a few cars out. I use that quite often coming off the interstate. We're having people come on I-20 headed west who will turn and come to Elizabeth Drive to make a U-turn so they can avoid the traffic buildup on the circle coming back up to go south on Chapel Hill Road. I see lots of problems in the future, and I don't know if you people will be on the council then or not, but you're gonna be remembered for this decision. I think it's a very important thing that you probably can't go back on. So I encourage you and beg you to give it serious consideration before you approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello. If you'll please just give us your name and address for the record.
Good evening, Beverly Lamazala, 6372 Allison Court. And as a deeply impacted resident for this potential development, it will run beside and behind my existing property. And so we had neighborhood meetings early on with Trayton Homes, and they presented us with a plan, and we were able to see that under the R5 proposal, and have not seen anything with the new proposal. And so my encouragement to you all, with us kind of flying blind now, I guess, as neighbors, and not really knowing how this is actually going to play out and how it will impact us, directly, is really as far as just the density of how this plan is going to be laid out, because you are looking at a 33-acre tract. It does have to have the containment area for runoff, but where is the density of these homes going to be concentrated? Is it going to be spread out over the property, which is more in keeping with the R2? What we have in the neighborhood now, I have almost an 1.5 acre size lot, as do my neighbors. We have larger lot sizes, and so my curiosity, and I guess what I would propose to you all, is how this land is going to look once it is developed. If all of the homes, because it was previously very highly concentrated homes in one area. So what the lay of the land is going to look like, if now that there are fewer homes proposed, I think initially it was just a clear-cut, tract type building, and would the topography change of the land? Because initially it was going to be raising the elevation, so it would be a higher elevation behind the existing homes, where 2 stories would kind of look down onto our properties, and it was a very slim setback. So as you all are considering, this information, I would just encourage you, as someone who is, deeply concerned, and I know you don't feel it like we will, but just representing my neighbors, and kind of what the setback is going to look like, and how it's going to be in keeping with what's there, because we do love the R2 zoning, and we appreciate having larger lot sizes, and would love to see development be more in keeping with that. And if it means that it's a different price point for the homes, that they are larger lots, larger homes, or higher quality homes with more character, I would love personally just to see a neighborhood with add gas lanterns on the porches, and elevate, continue to elevate the city, because this is the first neighborhood that you're now going to see as you exit the interstate, and as you're coming into the city, this is going to be your welcome mat to the city of Douglasville. So I would just encourage you all to consider those things as you review this information, and we appreciate you all so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Lamazales. We have not seen the new elevations yet. I'm sure that either Mr. Fowler or the developer could probably clarify this for us, but it looks as if the layout is very similar to the old layout, where the concentration was up at the front, of course, on the Campbellton Street. It was around 20-ish acres, and then that back 10 acres that backs up to Country Club Estates and towards the golf course, there's a 10-acre tract there that was open as a green space, I believe. Is that still correct? Yes, that is. Okay. Will you come down for us?
I don't mean to be negative about progress here in Douglasville, and surely whoever owns this property should be able to use it in a good way for himself. We don't owe him anything in getting to use his property, changing it to something that won't work. But personally, I would love to see something like Kensington Gardens go in there, a gated community, it's high density, and it's a 55 and older community, where you've got people that won't be coming and going so much, not having so much effect on the school system or on the needs from the public services. So I just want to say that I'm not closed-minded or opposed to anything coming in there, but I think we need to put the right thing. So, thank you.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Guys, I think we might have about 60 seconds left. Was that 2 minutes? Okay. Well, guys, if we have no more comments, then I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing. And guys, we do hear those comments, and I know some of us see it firsthand daily. I know Mayor Pro Tem travels Campbellton Street daily, just trying to get to his office. I walk Campbellton Street a couple times a week because I live on Campbellton Street. I'm very familiar with your neighborhood and the traffic issues that we already have. My husband almost got ran over on Campbellton Street last week, cutting the neighbor's grass. A car ran off the street. They were about 3 foot from him. So, I mean, we are very aware of the current issues that we have with traffic mitigation on Campbellton Street. Council, did you guys have any questions to wrap that up? We can drag it out 5 more hours. Okay, wonderful. We still have a few more items. Item E. This is item number 24-253. It says to consider a petition to annex 1.529 acres at the intersection of Lee Road and I-20 in land lot 719, District 18, Section 2. Parcel ID 0002 and 0016. Ms. Shayla Reed is on here to go over this item, but if it's okay, did you want me to go ahead and read that other? Okay. We're going to go ahead and talk about both items at the same time, and then we'll hold that public hearing afterwards. So then that next item is item number 24-252. That is to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a change in zoning from general commercial county and a portion of the PRD planned residential development in the city to general commercial city for 3.266 acres at the intersection of Lee Road and I-20 and land lot 719, District 18, Section 2. Parcel ID 0002, 0016, and 0015. Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over both of these items with us, and then we'll come back to that public hearing. All right. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilwoman Miller, for allowing us to combine these items. So as mentioned, this is a annexation request and rezoning request. The annexation, of course, is a piece of land off of Lee Road that is a parcel that's within the county. They have a current zoning, or the parcel currently is zoned General Commercial County, which is CG. They're requesting to come into the city with a general commercial zoning classification and have a mixed-use design within the character area for the future land use. In regards to the rezoning, the purpose of the rezoning into general commercial is to allow for the business to be a convenience store with a gas station with pumps and a liquor store. As mentioned, it is located on Lee Road, which is in Ward 5. And during your August 6th Planning Commission meeting, the Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezoning. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Mr. Fowler, did you want to go ahead and present? We can ask some questions.
May I just do them together, because it's both an annexation and rezoning? Would you like me to do that?
Yes, so we're combining them. We're going to go ahead and
All
go
right.
over both items at the same time, and then we'll just kind of backtrack just a little bit to
Yes,
hold
ma'am.
just the public hearing.
So let me introduce Arpit Patel.
If you'll just give us your name and address for the record one
Mine
more
is
time.
Joe Fowler, Post Office, 489 in Douglasville. Thank you. Mr. Patel is a business owner in Douglasville, has been since 2009. He's put under contract this 3.266 acres located at the southwest corner of I-20 and Lee Road. Formerly, you may remember from years ago, a Chevron station and a Waffle House. Those businesses have been gone for years, and it's interesting and actually fascinating. When the DOT acquired the larger right-of-way to expand the bridge on Lee Road, they actually took a good portion of the frontage that is on the west side of Lee Road as you travel south. So the only entrance to this property, if you see the site plan before you, is several hundred feet south. Behind this property is a substantial wetlands area, and when you get going westbound, south of I-20, when you get behind the wetlands area, that's when you see the new apartment complex. He proposes, as you know, to annex and rezone the property from PRD and CG in the county to simply CG in the city for the convenience store with gas pumps and a package store. 2 separate buildings, each 5,000 square feet in size. I sent you an elevation of what the buildings will look like, and you should have that before you. You also have the site plan. You'll notice that there's the single entrance to the development roughly across from Monair Boulevard. The reason for that is, as I mentioned before, because of that DOT acquisition of the right-of-way. I measured on the city's map, I think it's 400 feet from the edge of the DOT right-of-way down to where this entrance will be. The property is in the mixed-use design classification, so the request for general commercial fits within the character area. The new Novo apartment complex is now open. This use will certainly serve that development. The staff report concludes that the requested use is, and I'm quoting, consistent with the purpose and intent of the UDO, the city's Unified Development Ordinance, and it is compatible with the purpose and intent of the most recent comprehensive plan. The staff's concluded that the use will provide a service to the surrounding neighborhood. The county did not oppose the annexation. We would request your approval of both. Thank you, Mr. Chair, Madam Chair, and others.
Thank you, Mr. Fowler. Did the applicant want to add anything to that? No? Okay, that's fine. Council, did you guys have any comments or questions at this time?
Madam Chair, this may be quibbling, but the elevation shown does not match the site plan. You've got the convenience store shown on the left of the elevation, and it's shown to be on the right in the site plan. It doesn't mean much in and of itself, but it's to me, it's a red flag. When you have something that fundamentally shown incorrectly, it starts to make me question what else is inaccurate on that presentation.
That is a sample of what he had otherwise built before in another location. That's what the frontage of the building will look like.
So that's not representative of what's being built there?
That's not representative of this application. That is what the building will look like following that design.
It's representative of what a building will look like.
Pardon me?
It's representative of what a building will look like.
Both of the A buildings will look like that, yes, sir. And I can get that corrected to you if you'd like to see it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Davis, are you?
Yes, Mr. Fowler, this is for Mr. Fowler.
Yes, sir.
That extension coming through there, they didn't take almost that, lot of that property?
A good portion of it was taken, as you'll notice by looking at the plat. And the principal thing they took was the access rights. So that's why you have to enter down below and drive up. It is adequate in size and meets the city code for the construction of those 2 buildings. But you're right, what was formerly there that you and I remember from years
Yeah, I
gone
remember
by.
that. We used to know the owners of the Chevron.
Yes, sir.
They went over on Highway 5, but I was just wondering, that extension, is it going to interfere? Are they still working, or they got a pause on the working? I don't see them working there no more for a while.
DOT is through. If your question was about whether or not the Department of Transportation is doing anything else, they're done. We are bounded on the north by I-20, on the west by that swampy area that I mentioned, south by the WSA lift station, on the east by.
I'm glad to see some development happening right there.
Well, it will certainly be convenient for the apartment complex that's now operating just behind it.
Very nice.
Thank you.
Council? Councilman Coach?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. So just real quick, Mr. Fowler, the property that's in the county, want to annex into the city.
Yes, sir.
They're both general commercial. What's your reason for wanting to just leave the county and come to the city?
Well, of course, it's because of the package store. Sale of
Okay.
beer and wine, yes. Yeah.
I see. All right, I thought that was the case. I struggle with the
You
idea.
mentioned it before when you authorized the annexation, I understand that.
Yes, sir.
This gentleman operates a good operation on Skyview that the city approved 2 or 3 years ago.
Right.
No problems at that location. He's a reputable man, and he's been a business here for 15 years.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for that. I think I just have to kind of speak my heart here and say that we have just under 40,000 residents in the city, and we have 12 liquor stores. To me, they're right up there with dollar stores, Pop Shelf, Waffle House, storage units. It's all a lot. And while I can appreciate you being a good business owner on your other liquor store that is also in Douglasville, I just don't feel as though that is what our residents need or the top value that they deserve right there at the entrance of this new apartment complex. But I will yield my comments to anyone else who may have anything to say on that, council. And if not, at this time, I'm going to backpedal it just a little bit and go to that, which item number was that for the, make sure I got that right, 24, which one is the public hearing? 24-252 is the public hearing. Do I need to read that whole title off again for the public hearing?
No.
Since I already have, no, okay, perfect.
You can reference it.
Thank you. Okay, well then at this time, we're going to go ahead and open the floor for the public hearing to consider the request for zoning. So if we have anyone here who would like to speak for or against this item, now is your time. Ms. McCoy, if you'll come give us your name and address for the record.
Yes, thank you. Amy McCoy, 9938 Ashton Old Road. My business address is located very close to where this is at. And so your comments earlier, Mayor Pro Tem, about when you do have businesses that come in and, you know, despite of what the zoning may be for it, if they come in and it's already that zoning, you know, you can't really depict what goes on it. But what we can do as a city council, or even if this was the county or however, is we can make suggestions for that business, recommendations that that business should be countering to. So if we are in that food desert, as the other council member had mentioned, then we can make the recommendations for, and I'll use this as an example, if a Family Dollar wanted to come in, then you can make that request that they have to have vegetable items, they have to carry dairy items, and there has to be a substantial amount of produce that's within that space so that it can actually accommodate that community that is close by. So I'm a smoker more than I am a drinker, and I'm okay, proud person to say that. But what I do recommend, I'm with you, I'm not for the liquor stores. I think we have a sufficient amount. So I would love to see, as someone who is vegan in this neighborhood, more healthier food options and more adequate food resources. So if that is going to come in to be better supportive of those apartment communities and the houses that are in that area, I would highly recommend that there is more food options to accompany that business. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just have a comment.
You've got to give us your name and address for the record.
Again? You want me to give it to you?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's for the record.
I
'cause it all
understand.
goes on camera.
I totally understand. Keena Phillips, 1045 Augusta Woods Drive. Proud resident of Douglasville. Like you said earlier, Nicole?
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Miller, we do not need another liquor store, another gas station, another Dollar Tree. We need something that's going to draw people to our county that wants to be here. And I love you. You seem really nice. but we don't need that
Address
in
your
our
comments
area.
to the council, please.
Okay, I'm sorry. We don't need that in our area. I understand the intent is well, we receive that, but if we have a choice, let's not do this. We are more than just drunks that need our car washed, that like to shop at the Dollar Tree, Family Dollar, and liquor store. We are not those people. And giving us those options and kind of only those options is not a good representation of what I like to see as a community. We are so much more than that. I know people want to come here and bring their businesses because they have families to feed as well. However, again, if it's not going to benefit the community that I proudly live in, please don't let people come in and just develop whenever they get ready. Make them pay. We have the power at this point. Like you said earlier, our back was against the wall. People want to come in now. Make them pay if they want. Our big businesses, make them pay more if they want to come to our county and our city and develop for their wealth. I yield the floor.
Thank you. Hello, if you'll please just give us your name and address for the record.
My name is Clarence Thrower. I live at 9412 Woodlawn Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. And it's been a long time since I've been here. I was here when we were building Golden Memorial United Methodist Church. And you guys helped us, and we appreciate you all so much. Amen. So I have some concern concerning the liquor store that this young man, this company want to put up here in Douglasville. And I did just a little research, and I have the population of Douglasville. I also have the number of liquor stores that we have here in Douglasville. We have 4 liquor stores on Highway 5. We have 1 liquor store on Chapel Hill Road. Now, when I leave my house in Grace Lake subdivision, and it's hard to get out, and that liquor store on Chapel Hill Road seems like it's some type of a flea market. They all there, different folks selling different things in the parking lot there at the liquor store, and traffic is more heavy there than traffic heavy there at the QT, up the street from it. And so I just feel like that we don't need another liquor store here in Douglasville, Georgia. We also have 3 more liquor stores on Thornton Road. And we have liquor store on Fairburn Road. That is just absolutely too many liquor stores here in Douglasville, Georgia. And I just feel like that you all need to make some adjustment and put a moratorium and allow, if a liquor store want to come here, the population of Douglasville possibility to increase anywhere from 8,000 to 10,000 folks and just add 1 more, and not add all these liquor stores trying to come to Douglasville with the population of Douglasville. We don't need it here in Douglasville, Georgia, under no circumstance. So I just said thank you so much for allowing me to come and say 1 or 2 words concerning what's going on here in Douglasville, Georgia. I am a United Methodist preacher, and I've been around a long time in Douglasville. And I've been living in my subdivision, Grace Lake, in that subdivision for 29 years. And I enjoy Douglasville, and I'm going to retire in Douglasville, amen. And so I really appreciate you all so much from the depths of my heart. And I've been knowing Sam, and I've been knowing Sean. During the time we were building the church, I knew them during the time we were building the church, Golden Memorial United Methodist Church. And thank you all so much. And I appreciate you so much, and I think you're all doing a magnificent job. But we need you all to help us, and we're going to help you guys, and we're going to pray for you guys, and we want you guys to pray for us. And we really thank you all so much. Thank you. And God bless you all, and we appreciate you so much, and thank you again, and thank you. I also want to let you know that Sheriff is my good friend, Brother Spark, and we go to One Life Fitness Center together every now and then. We need it, I need it, and he needed it, amen. And so I just appreciate you so much, and thank you again. And again, thank you for your job. Well done. Appreciate you, amen. Thank you.
Thank you for those kind words.
Can I shake Sean and Sam hand? It's been a long time since I've been in here, amen. Can I do that?
We will,
Well, I can probably get some money from the church, amen. I don't mind doing it. We ain't all together poor in the church, amen. I think we can handle it, amen. Can I shake their hand,
we will
Pro Tem?
we will break protocol for a moment.
Huh?
And we will break protocol and permit you to shake their hand.
Thank you so much, amen.
I'm sorry, we'll have to change that.
Thank you so much for coming in tonight. Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Doing well, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Just for the record, that's the only person who can come up and shake hands. Nobody else can come up and shake a hand. Just letting you guys know.
All right. Go, you're good, baby. All right. Thank you
Madam-
all so much.
Madam Chair, please
Yes.
continue.
Okay. Sorry, a little thrown off here. Still speaking on public hearing for the possible annexation, zoning, excuse me, not annexation. Did we have anyone else who would like to speak on this item? No? Okay, I thought he was going to say, okay. At that time then, I'm going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing, and we will take this item up on Monday. You guys, I really might learn the alphabet tonight. We're going to keep going.
Do you need to take a break?
I'm okay. Are you guys okay?
Anybody want to take a break?
No.
Okay. Keep going.
Okay. Darn, I'm just trying to figure out where the heck I was. Okay.
Just checking. We'll make sure everybody's still got the
G,
stand.
yes, thank you, Coach. Again, got to learn that alphabet. Okay. Next item, item number 24-226. Get ready for it. Just to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a special land use permit for a family personal care home for property zoned R2, single-family residential detached for 1 acre on Cedar Mountain Road in land lot 194, District 2, Section 5, parcel ID 0307. Application by the Chan Foundation, and Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over this item with us.
Yes, ma'am. As mentioned, this is a special land use request. This property is located in Ward 3, and their request is for a personal care home for those who have physical challenges that they would like to assist. They are attempting to only have 4 individuals within that home. The home is not constructed as of yet, so they will be coming before us for construction plans if approved. Currently, the property is on R2, your single-family detached zoning classification. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Ms. Reed.
Yes, ma'am.
Is the applicant here, and would they
Yes,
like to
ma'am.
add anything to this? Hello. If you'll please give us your name and address for the record.
Hey, Lon Bell, 6504 Cedar Mountain Road, Douglasville, Georgia. My pedigree with Douglas County is quite long. Grew up here, East Side, Burnett, Stewart Middle School, Douglas County High School. So I've been around for a day or two here in our local town. Stayed here and we had the pastor here, which I appreciate on the Methodist side. I'm a Baptist, and so we're covering it on both ends today. I'm a deacon for our church. But I felt a calling years ago, my wife and I did, to serve special needs. I was actually working for Delta Airlines, and my wife was in finance, and we were doing what anybody wants to do, trying to gain and get ahead. And thank God just stopped us in our tracks and kind of turned us around. And we developed a nonprofit back in 1999 to help special needs adults. And we started serving out of our personal house. Is what we did. And over the years, we've had a couple of addiction individuals we helped, but altogether 17 individuals have lived with us personally over the course of the years. And we had started personal care homes. Back then it was called personal care homes. Now, because there's not a ordinance written for community living arrangements, we do what's called really community living arrangements. We became a provider for the state of Georgia, a Medicaid provider, back in 2005. We have day programs. We have a day program here in the city of Douglasville for our special needs population. We have several homes in the community. We can serve in Carroll County, Cobb County, Douglas County, the surrounding counties, but this is home, and this is where we like to be, and we like to keep our hands on everything, so the closer's better for us. But we serve the special needs, and like I say, this is not a mental health thing. This is just intellectual disabilities, and that's what we do. And that's what we've done since '99. We want to develop this particular house from the ground up. We've converted a lot of houses through the years. I had a construction background, did a lot of renovating houses over the time. But this house in particular, I want to build from the ground up also to make it accessible for those that need accessibility, but I want it to look just like our house. I don't want it to stand out. I want them to blend right into our community just the way we would want to, you know. So that's our heart. That's our mission. That's our passion. That's what we do. This is my community, and this is where I really want to serve. So I'm open for any questions
Thank
you
you.
might have.
That's beautiful. And special needs is super near and dear to my heart and my family's. Can you tell us, will you have, like what age groups do you have?
Yeah,
and-
so the way we are funded through Medicaid, we have to be, they'll be out of high school. So 18's the youngest, but usually about 22, 23, all the way up till infinity, you know, as
Okay.
long as they live. And there's 4 residents, no more than 4, up to 4 residents. And
Okay.
it's shift staffed. We staff it with staff that's shift staff. So there's 1 or 2 staff on hand all times. And we have, our company now has grown to the point where we have a registered nurse on duty all the time. We have a medical team on duty. I have LPN on duty. So we try to, I think if you look this up, or if you spoke to a couple of individuals, I'll throw out a couple of names. Ron Wakefield, he's under the governor. Ron and I worked together on some special projects over the years throughout the state, and we're pretty close. Matter of fact, we meet here as a provider. We have regional meetings, and they meet here. And but Ron, he's very dear to me as a friend, but he answers to the governor. And anyway, I feel like he would come on my side and support what we do. He's been to our houses and gave us accolades. He gave us accolades at the meetings here, the local meetings in front of, you know, half of the state of Georgia, so.
Love that. How many other homes do you have?
7.
Yeah. Council, did you guys have questions or comments of the applicant? Dr. Burdanley?
Yeah, I just want to say, your program is wonderful. I have had the opportunity to just do some research, and I'm glad to hear that you're interested in building from the ground up, but the individuals that you serve are awesome, and your program is amazing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for
Our
that.
community has really, really been supportive, so I appreciate that.
Anyone else? Mayor Pro Tem?
I'll just say, that I know personally that Mr. Bell has done some remarkable work in this community, and Douglasville should be very proud
I appreciate that.
for him to be a part of it.
Thank
So,
you. I
Thank you.
appreciate that.
Thank you, Lon. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Nope. Guys, keeping in order here, this is a public hearing, so at this time, if we have anyone here who would like to come down and speak on this item. Darn, are you kidding me? Look at that. All right, well, with that being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and close this public hearing, and we will take this item up on Monday. H. What? Item 24-254. Did not realize we had that many public hearings. To hold a public hearing and consider request for a change in zoning from planned unit development district to light industrial for 95.052 acres at Riverside Parkway and Roberts Road in the land lot 169, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID 0004. Application by Tributary Land Partners in care of Dillard Sellers, and Ms. Shayla Reed is going to go over this item with us.
Yes, ma'am. So as mentioned, this property is located on Riverside Parkway within Ward 5. The applicant is requesting to have the property rezoned from PUD with a base zoning of PRD to be rezoned to light industrial. The purpose for that rezoning would be to have a data center at that location. And in that area, proximity is primarily mixed-use developments within that area. And there was a DRI conducted by the state in that area. There were no findings or recommendations provided for this particular development. I will also add that the applicant has worked with the residents and came up with, I believe, about 8 different conditions that they will be presenting and informing you of as well tonight. And with that, that concludes my report.
Thank you. Hi, Ms. Sellers. If you'll come give us your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening. Julie Sellers, 1776 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia. Here tonight on behalf of the applicant, and I tried to come prepared, so sorry. I believe that you all should have just received a handout. I am joined tonight with Adam Richards, Tyler Fan, and Alex MacArthur with Reliant Real Estate Partners. These are the property owners. My guess is that some of you may remember this property. You may be familiar with some of the prior applications for this property. And we are here before you tonight after significant community engagement. I think that you probably, for those of you that remember, probably noticed one of the big differences this go around. We are excited to have a plan before you that really has incorporated feedback. The request is to rezone to light industrial, and I think this is very important, with a condition that the property is only to be used for a data center. We are not here asking for just a blanket zoning that would allow other industrial uses. I'm going to just kind of touch briefly, the site plan that you all, I'm sure, have seen in the packet is for a data center use. It also includes 3 acres for a city park. And I'll talk a little bit more in detail about that because we've had some changes. One of the other aspects that we heard was potential area for a cell phone tower. The tributary area has spotty cell phone service, and so the property owners have reached out to cell towers and have been willing to work with to provide access in a location should that come to play. Just to orient you, this is along Riverside Parkway. I know that most of you are familiar, but this is the location that's across from the Keehee and McMaster facilities there. I'm going to go ahead and go through just a couple of slides. This is the building that is directly across from us that is at the corner of Roberts Road and Riverside Parkway. We've got the American Red Cross, McMaster Car, and then Keehee. this is the site plan, and I'm going to see if we can pull this up. I didn't want to, first of all, I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you to Director Reed and to Mr. Bass. We have, since the Planning Commission, had a couple of meetings and some really great conversations. And so, and also Councilman Estes. We originally were thinking about the location. There's not a city park in the district, and so the original plans that you have in the packet had a park situated at the corner of Riverside and Roberts. And then we were going to provide a public use easement because this property is, right abutting state property with the Chattahoochee. And so the original thought was, let's provide some park area, but then provide an easement. And then after we got some feedback from the staff, there was a thought of, wait a second, what about maybe relocating so that we could have a more meaningful access to the Chattahoochee property, to that state property? And so what I wanted to show you, and what you'll see reflected in the revised conditions, is what is circled in purple on the screen before you. What we are now considering, and I'll read the condition for you, and obviously happy to answer any questions. But the condition reads, the concept plan includes an area for a potential public use easement for access to the adjacent parcel owned by the state of Georgia and containing a portion of the Chattahoochee River. So that potential public use easement is that orange line. At the time of final plat, not less than 3 acres of property located between the western property line, that's that orange line, and the stream, which is the squiggly line page right, shall be subdivided for dedication to the city to provide the city with property adjacent to the state property and a potential city park. Based on the land dedication to the city, the public use easement area, that orange line, will become city property, and thus no easement is no longer needed to access the state property. So that is a maybe a not very artful way of saying moving the property dedication. Instead of here, what the condition achieves is allowing this area to really have that, not just an easement as it is originally thought, but really to have an opportunity for that to be city property to provide that access point. So that is condition number 7. Again, just walking through on the site plan, we do just a few of the other aspects of the community engagement and the incorporated requests that we received on some of the earlier plans. The substation that is needed for the data center was located adjacent to Riverside Parkway. That was one of the things that we heard, is we really don't want that adjacent. So you can see that substation is tucked back behind Building C. This is a challenging piece of property. We've got a variety of streams. We are not encroaching in any of the stream buffers. And on the site plan, as you can see in green, along Riverside Parkway, there's already, trees out there. Then behind the trees, there's sort of a power line area. That would all remain undisturbed. And so then you would have the building would be behind that, and we would be adding additional landscaping. That was one of the other feedback that we heard from the community, is the building that was constructed next to us on the other side of Roberts Road is very visible from Riverside Parkway, and they wanted to have more screening, and so we have accommodated that with this plan. Another feature is with the data center use, we know that we've heard a lot about the truck traffic on Riverside Parkway, so this use would not have the truck traffic. It's a very low traffic driver. You've got some employees, but not, certainly not, it's not a distribution center, so you don't have that truck traffic. But we have also said that our traffic will come onto Roberts Road. So there would just be emergency access only from Riverside Parkway. So we would be getting any of our employees off of Riverside Parkway, entrance into our development off of Roberts Road. Touching on just, a few of the additional benefits, I think as you can see on the site plan, and site plans are always a little bit challenging to read. It doesn't, it's hard to see, but I did think that it's important when we're thinking about a development. The building footprints for the data center and the substation, that's only 18% of the site. So this is really preserving a significant amount of the site is not being built upon. So again, we're not seeking any stream buffers. And under the current zoning, there's a variety of uses that would certainly generate a lot more traffic and would take up more building space. So we are asking for the approval of this with the conditions. This would certainly be it's not going to add additional children in the school system. It will certainly be a very large taxpayer in the community without having the corresponding need for services. So I am happy to answer any questions that you all may have, and I guess reserve the rest of my time for rebuttal if needed.
Thank you so much, Ms. Sellers. If it's okay, I really would like to lean down and start with Councilman Estes. I would love to hear from you on this item, please.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Sellers. As everybody is well aware, this parcel has had a long storied history that has not always been anywhere near pleasant. But, and I think this is what, the third go-round with you Reliant guys? I want to commend Ms. Sellers and the Reliant team. They have been just the model of what we expect from developers and property owners as far as engaging with the community that is potentially impacted by the development. I mean, they have had, I can't tell you how many community meetings they have had. But it's not just the number of meetings, it is the way they have responded to what they have heard at these meetings. And that's where you get this list of conditions here. And so I thank you guys for that. And because, this is, nobody is overjoyed at the idea of a data center or any kind of industrial development, but you learn the limitations of a piece of property, and I don't believe at this point there is anything more desirable that is feasible here. But I will let, anybody who wants to come speak and the rest of council pipe in as well.
Thank you. Thank
Thanks.
you. I know with this being your ward, you've really kind of led the crusade on this particular parcel. And as you said, we've come a long way from a 1 million square foot warehouse and thinking that we might all go to jail on it. Okay. Council, do we have any more questions? Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As Ms. Sellers, have you pointed out, this is an ecologically sensitive site, and I don't know if we can require this or not, but would you be willing to consider, as part of the development, to put in place permeable or semi-permeable paving in the parking locations, as well as consider green roofs because the substantial amount of square footage of roofing that's going to go on, and concern that we've had lately is urban heat islands that's starting to develop in areas, especially like along Riverside Parkway and Fulton Industrial, Is that a consideration that the developer will be willing to
I
put into
think
effect?
I can certainly, talk to my clients. Just my initial thought and reaction is, this is the zoning piece that we need. We will certainly be back before you for a land development plan with fine tuning the details. So my suggestion would be maybe hold that conversation and we'll certainly, note that. What I wouldn't want to do is have it as a zoning condition that for some reason when we get into the nuts and bolts, we find out there's some problem. But I think that it would certainly be something that we could work through on the development plan.
As I've always pointed out, I understand that the decision today is whether or not to bake the cake. But sometimes it's nice to know what you're intending to put into the cake before we actually put it in the oven. Sure. So, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Councilman Estes, you had something?
Yeah, just to follow up on the Mayor Pro Tem's point. I mean, first of all, just to clarify, there is no end user at this point. And I would like to impress upon Adam and Tyler, when you are pursuing an end user, that you absolutely stress that point. That will make it a lot easier for us moving forward, should this be approved. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Was that it, council? Well, friends, this is a public hearing. So at this time, if we have anyone who would like to come down and speak on this item pertaining to the 95 acres on Riverside Parkway, let's keep it to that, please. Turn. I might learn your address.
Hey,
by the
best
end of the
friends.
night, too.
Amy McCoy, 9938 Ashton Old Road. As someone who does live in the tributary, I've spoken on data centers and warehouses before. And as someone who's helped Switch get into the community, so, it's tough as being someone who's helped a data center come here, but now seeing the unintended consequences of when you have land designated for homes. And as a housing advocate, and we're in such a shortage, to then have more data centers and more warehouses and things of that sort. It just takes away from the aesthetics of when it was meant to be on Riverside, which was supposed to be homes. And so keeping that in mind, I'm thankful that somebody wants to buy in there, but one of the things that happen when you get more of these type of centers in here is they're able to defer their taxes. Yes, it's going to be a great generator of taxes down the road, but when you're in TADS and things of that sort, they don't really pay their taxes until they're online. So I just like to know how that's going to actually benefit our community that's already heavily assessed in that area. When we talk about the parks, I'm thankful there's going to be another city park. I don't know the purpose of it being right there, considering in the tributary, we've got like 20 million of them inside the community already. And most of the apartments already have parks themselves. Just seems a little out of place for it to be to the rear. And then is that a city park that now we, as taxpayers, now have to maintain for that might not get as much usage out of? Thank you very much.
Thank you. So just for clarification, this piece of land is not inside the TAD, and they've not asked for any kind of tax deferring or any of those sliding scales. Yes, ma'am. Anyone else? Darn, look at that. All right. Oh, yes, now's your chance. I almost closed it.
Good evening, Mayor Pro Tem, council members, Santana Kempson Wright, Atlanta, 9908 Ashford Greenway. I was about to say where I work. I am a resident of Tributary, and I am actually not in support of any more data centers or warehouses on Riverside. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else who would like to speak on this item? If that's the case, then guys, we're going to go ahead and close this portion of the public hearing. Did you have something? No, she's the applicant, yeah. Okay. think you'll have to hold that till the end and probably, okay. Ms. Sellers, did you have anything else for us?
Yeah, just briefly in rebuttal, Madam Chair, if I could, I think a few important things that were included in the staff report, I didn't highlight it in my presentation, is the city adopted its comprehensive plan, and this parcel is designated for industrial. And so just to be clear on the city's, designation for this is industrial. The current zoning is, it allows for a 12-story office building. So I just want to be clear, this is not a designated single-family detached home property that we are seeking to change. This is more commercial in nature, and what we are asking for does comply with the city's comprehensive plan. And I think that that's it. Happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Did anyone have any questions of Ms. Sellers? You're going to see her again in the next item, actually. It's like an infomercial. All right, guys. Then we're going to go ahead and move along. We'll take that item up on Monday. Get ready for it, guys. Item number 24-256 says to hold a public hearing and consider a request for a variance from Section 5.04 of the Unified Development Ordinance to increase the maximum principal building height from 50 feet to 75 feet in a land lot of 95.052 acres located at Riverside Parkway and Roberts Road in land lot 169, District 1, Section 5, parcel ID 0004, application by Tributary Land Partners. Ms. Shayla Reed, can you tell us about this item, please?
Yes, ma'am. This is a variance for the same piece of property that we just spoke on. It's the data center within Ward 5. This particular location has issues, topography issues with very sloped land. In addition to that, there's a few streams that she identified on the site plan when speaking of it. Because of those two pieces, which is the slopes and the wetlands, they'll lose a few pieces of land to build. They're asking to increase their height for the purpose of the square footage they would possibly lose because of that. If I can just add one more important fact, this would have been two variances. One would have been parking, but because of the great work that you all did a few weeks ago, we do not have that variance. So thank you.
Thank you for that. And just to clarify, this variance, if passed, would not exceed any other variances that we've done on building height.
That is very correct. And Julie Sellers can tell you, one of the variances that you have provided to her in the past was for that height, and we've never gone before that height.
Perfect.
No more. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Ms. Sellers, you want to come give us your name and address for the record?
Good evening, Madam Chair and Council. Julie Sellers, 1776 Peachtree Street, Atlanta, Georgia, here on behalf of the applicant. And yes, thank you for your proactive changing of the code and the staff's work in recognizing you all were seeing variances as it relates to parking and going ahead and taking action on that. So thank you for that. We did withdraw that parking variance, so we are here on a height variance. Again, the current zoning under the PUD would allow for 180 feet. So that's a pretty very significant, in height. Under the light industrial zoning, the maximum building height is 50 feet. So what we are asking for is an increase of 25 feet to have our maximum building height 75 feet. The property slopes down from Riverside, so again, this is not going to be situated right up on Riverside and going up. The property slopes down, so we're already starting at a lower starting point, but we do need that extra height for the data center use. And happy to answer any questions, but would appreciate your consideration and approval of this request.
Thank you for that explanation. Council, do you guys have questions or comments of the applicant?
As long as it doesn't look like the NASA vehicle assembly building, that would be the main concern.
Thank you. Okay. Well, with that being said, guys, this is a public hearing, so we're going to go ahead and open the floor for anyone who would like to speak on this item of the height variance from 50 feet to 75 feet. And if we don't have any takers, we will close that portion of the public hearing and take this item up on Monday as well. Thank you so much. Last one. Item number 24-266, to hold a public hearing and adopt a proposed ordinance to amend Articles 10, 11, and 12 of the Unified Development Ordinance regarding Georgia's zoning procedures law. Ms. Shayla Reed, can you please help us with this?
Yes, ma'am. So earlier this year in your retreat, I identified that there was a state law that changed and that we needed to have these revisions changed because of the requirement within the state law. In addition to those state law requirements, our staff attorney has also identified some needed changes within our UDO to allow for us to operate accordingly with the functions that we currently have today. And if I could give you a quick summary of what those particular changes would be as it pertains to the zoning procedure laws. Of course, given a definition of what quasi-judicial boards would mean, given a definition for what zoning decisions are, as you just recently heard, a rezoning and a variance that is called a concurrent variance. The state now requires that if there is a rezoning and a variance, they must be heard together. We cannot separate them on two different decisions if we're aware of there being a need for both. In addition to that, myself, I have the authority and ability to give a admin variance. Because of that, they being the state, now asking for me to be able to give an admin variance amongst the public. So amongst that, staff, Miranda and I kind of talked about that. If it's going to be this setting, we believe it should be you as a body that gives that variance and basically removing the admin variance option. And if a rezoning takes place that is initiated by the city and it is a single-family zone structure being rezoned to multifamily, it has required additional rules for that, allowing for notifications to be had to an extreme, allowing for additional public hearings. It's a number of different things that they're now requiring for us to have if we initiate that single-family to be rezoned to multifamily. And then, of course, the annexation law changed as well. As you may be aware, we're no longer informing the county's Board of Commissioners. We are also now informing the school systems. So there's a number of changes that we're making within the UDO as it reflects over to your current file that the state has. If I can, Miranda, we also made some changes that Miranda has mentioned in regards to who handles what. At one point, engineering and community development was one department. Now that they're separate, the code should reflect that. It would say it would be community development that handles, and instead it's now engineering. And then one thing that it did miss was that designee component, so that if it said community development director, it never said the designee, or if it said engineer, it never said designee. So now we've made those changes as well. And then who handles what in regards to your table for decision actions, that was changed as well. So I hope I wrapped up as much as I could, because there was a lot of different changes in that file, but I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you so much. I know that that's a lot of information. We've been talking about this, I don't know, since February, I think. But thank you for explaining this to us in a way that I know it helps myself understand it. Ms. Jordan, did you have anything that you wanted to add to that?
The only thing that I would like to add is that on your agenda item attachment, all of the changes that were made are tracked and in color, so you can kind of skip around a little bit and not have to read the whole thing. We used this opportunity as well to make some housekeeping changes. So sometimes things were just posted twice, or sometimes a word was misused or misspelled. We changed anything to make sure the definitions in section 1302 matched with the language that is used throughout Articles 10, 11, and 12.
Thank you, both of you, so very much for helping us with that. Council, did you guys have any questions? I know it's like 88 pages, so, all right, it'll still be there for your light reading if you can't fall asleep tonight. Thank you so much. I know this is a public hearing, right? Yes. So, folks, if there's anyone who would like to speak on this item, and that is amended Articles 10, 11, and 12 of the UDO. And if there are no takers, we're going to close that public hearing and take that item up on Monday. You guys, that is all that I have tonight for planning and development. And if I can just help you out and tell you right now, public improvement and beautification, I have no items there either.
Are you sure?
I mean, I updated it when the meeting started. I'm hoping, unless you want me to like think of something else to talk about.
No, we don't.
All right, let's keep it rolling, friends.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. That was an excellent job. You deserve a hand, but no clapping is allowed, sorry. Our next committee is the Public Relations Committee. That's chaired by Councilman Samuel Davis.
No business tonight, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Councilman Davis. Our next committee, we already did Public Safety, so Recreation, Culture, and Tourism, Councilman Watts. Do you have anything for us?
No items tonight on the recreation, culture, and tourism.
All right. Do we have any other business at this time to come before City Council by any of the members of council? We do not. Okay.
Was
Yes.
there, I know I had a lot of items tonight and a lot of public hearings. Was there anything that I know if it's a public hearing, I cannot put it on consent, but was there anything that I should have combined or removed or anything like that? Okay, I just wanted to make
No,
sure.
we have to go back and restart now. Don't poke that bear. All right, updates from city staff. Our city attorney, Mr. Dotson.
No business.
Thank you, Mr. Dotson. Our staff attorney, Ms. Jordan.
No business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much. Our Captain Edwards from the police department. Anything?
No further business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
Thank you so much. Now, finally, our city manager.
No business, Mr. Mayor Pro Tem.
You are.
I could
in
find
our
something
hearts.
for y'all.
All right, we now come to the part of the program where we open the floor to comments from citizens and delegates. So if you have something to say to the city council, I will only request that you keep it brief. But please come down now if you have anything to add to comments or concerns regarding city business. No pressure. All right, well, being that there is no one coming down, this meeting is adjourned. Yes, sir. Mhm.